In order to develop the organization in a very sustainable and confident manner, one has to grasp what is going on in the present situation at the market and present situation of the organizational investment patterns and how in which direction it is going on. There are a lot of changes in the paradigms in the field of HR. The role of HR has to get itself stimulated for new emancipation in order to face these new paradigms and construct in a very beautiful system in the organization. The Indian corporates are also sensing their necessity to defend themselves against the onslaughts of the multinationals on cost, quality, and speed planks forged in hurried alliances with global leaders on unequal terms without assessing long term implications. Are brooding over the stark truth that these multinationals also need suitable Indian partners to help them price open complex Indian market and handle local civil HR problems. Indian corporates will have to therefore drop their futuristic vision by way of redefining their corporate purposes and mission and resetting their attainable objectives and developing long-term corporate strategy against background of emerging opportunities and impending threats inherent in domestic and global environments. On the one hand, corporate competencies and weaknesses also has to be taken into consideration with a big lot of effort with using SWOT analysis. On the other, while charting out the future course of action, the Indian corporates will have to remember that to get competitive edge over their rivals on a sustainable basis, five things are essential. Let us see what are these five things: increased productivity, improved quality, innovation in the market, a deep understanding of customer needs, and delivery of the world class service. And only one factor that could provide all these capabilities is knowledge. Knowledge is the crux. Knowledge is the pivotal point on which all these five things revolve in an organization. And the role of human beings is definitely most pivotal. The role of formulating human relations policies, the policies which is being developed in an organization in sculpting the human resources according to the changes occurring in the current society's competitive advantages in the international market, which could provide all these capabilities through knowledge formulation. How to impart knowledge, improve the knowledge in the form of a skill or learning and development depends upon the active role and emancipation of HR. Emancipation here, I am using this word because HR has to come out of that old fashioned restraints and old models of conservatism. That conservatism has to be demolished, otherwise, there is no future for HR. As such, primarily focusing of strategic management approach of any organization has to be an effective and efficacious utilization of human resources. It will therefore be imperative to set new paradigms for managing an enterprise and its people so that the human resources function forms an integral part of corporate policy and strategy, and the human resources manager plays pivotal role in management of men and in molding these men for the changing situation according to the market. necessities. Striking progressive integrations. I am repeating this word. Striking progressive integration of conceptual values with operational values. Once again, I am reading. The integration of conceptual values with operational values. Both are very important in an organization. So here the role comes from the matured managers, the think tank of an organization, the observers of an organization, the top executives of the organization in formulating a HR model, duly taking into consideration several views at several hierarchical levels which are working since a long time in that organization in planning the strategy and implementing the strategy. Although human resources function is receiving a serious attention now in the changing corporate world, even in India, in the recent few years, to cope with the bewildering complexity, I repeat the word, as on today, it is facing a bewildering complexity and a business activity, technological advancement, increasing competitiveness, growing concern for low productivity and high cost, and changes in socio-cultural environment leading to change in profile of workers. I repeat, socio-cultural environment changing in profile of the workers starting from down to top. Their style of functioning, attitude towards management, towards work, and themselves. Finally, this is what is important. Finally, attitude for themselves. The role of human resources had transformed from staff authority to line authority with crucial responsibility, and there is a strong need for the human resource manager to pursue an integrated and multi-pronged approach to manage the men. Here once again I repeat this wonderful sentence because this is what is the ideal way of concentration by the human resource people. He has to plan the resource management and pursue an integrated and multi-pronged approach to management. He has to play a more pragmatic, positive, and broader role with electrifying effect. In the changed environment, coalition of corporate vision with the individual's aspirations is vitally imperative. The individual aspirations, molding them, controlling them, integrating them to the corporate aspirations is very important function. The vitality imperative, and it is human resource manager who has to play crucial role in this respect by communicating the corporate vision to the people of the organization. He has to strategize human resource function so that its various components are harmonized firmly with the corporate strategy. Here, the process I am indicating is harmonizing individual aspirations to the corporate strategy towards improving productivity, quality, and customer satisfaction. This enjoins upon the human resource manager the responsibility of tailoring the manpower planning to corporate purpose. This is the slogan, tailoring the manpower planning to the corporate purpose and objectives and drawing long-term hiring program so as to track down people endowed with knowledge, skill and behavior. Behavior is very important. Not only knowledge and skill and behavior best suited to achieving the corporate objectives. Here the behavior at the time of hiring itself, you can take people with utmost good behavior which can be molded to the tunes of the corporate strategy and building. And another thing is developing the behavioral patterns of the people working in the organization through several programs of training by the specifically enlightening and energizing the learning and development department. This has become a main role of knowledge building in an organization. Skills have to be given top priority in achieving corporate objectives. The recruitment process has to focus on identifying people with an intensive and creative bent of the mind. The creative bent of the mind of an individual who is being recruited by the HR has to be developed. That process involves the requirement of the participation of men with ability both in social sciences, not only technical skill and technical excellence. Here I am specifically saying your technical excellence in a specific field may not be useful to that extent which you are imagining, as far as hiring the people of social behavior, people with that creative mind. If you recruit a creative mind, that will create a future to the corporate strategy in the human relations. Retaining talents in the organizations also requires active intervention of the human resource management strategy, for the fact that competition for people is proving to be twice and fierce as the battle for customers, and losing individuals involved in innovation in today's environment. Many must be realized that become disastrous to the organization. Retaining the talented people, retaining the creative people in the organization is an art, because normally these two sections, creative and highly competent people, will be sensitive. So the HR man has to build up a responsibility to respond the sensitivities of this creative wing. Then only they can be retained. To cope up with changing task of requirements in the present society, both in national level and in the international level, and the changing paradigms have come, already entered into the market, and they are ruling the business strategies. The organizations facing skill shortages and fierce competitions from existing experienced staff and new entrants of good caliber, finding it extremely difficult to buy the required skills in the marketplace, it has become imperative to accord high priority to training and employees in order to update their knowledge and competence and develop special specific skills of self-directed leadership, self-motivated team work, and self-generated creativity. Here these three words occupy primary concentration: self-directed leadership, self-motivated team work, and self-generated creativity. The onus for evolving a suitable training strategy for long standing, and long range planning, effectuating the same in the organization has to be on the human resource manager or human resource department. It has to install comprehensive, systematic, and consistent training system which is closely linked to the corporate strategy, and which acts in as a catalyst between people who look after strategy, and between the customers and organizational capabilities building. Training strategy to be developed should be performance oriented and should address the broader market, and changing paradigms have to be brought down to the level of the lowest cadre in the hierarchy, and they must understand the changing paradigms in the present international market. What are their impact in the organization? It has to be explained clearly to every participant in the process of production or management. Then only this can be built. Prominent on the agenda of today's and tomorrow's training programs of the organization should be developing an overall global business perspective, as well as understanding of business strategy formulation and relationship between the cross and functional strategies, and multi-skilling in cross-functional areas. This will go a long way in retention of the employees and improve their marketability, which may, in fact, serve as a powerful instrument of motivation. This is what is mainly the thrust and emphasis in the present society of the changed international atmosphere of tough and stiff competition among the organization and changing paradigms for the human relations management. The HR has to concentrate much on this in hiring. In order to achieve this by the human resource wing, the first of all, HR has to emancipate, come out of the restraints of old systems, old methods, and models of hiring people and doing things, always concentrating on finances. While you are hiring an individual, ability, his creativity, his participation level, and his ability to grasp and absorb the corporate strategy and convert it into his zeal. All these things will have to lead for the purpose that harmonizing individual aspirations to the changing aspirations of the organization. Integrating these two becomes primary responsibility of the human resource management. Then only the organizations will prosper in this present style of functioning in the corporate world. Thank you very much.